Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be the third time I think that I've tried to record this, only because, yeah, I don't know, various technical issues. So hopefully this one goes through correctly. And I wanted to make a video just giving my sort of take on the recent issue that Steve from GamersNexus has had with Best Buy over in the US, and also Linus chimed in on the LTT's One show as well to talk about his experience in NCIX dealing with returns. So I personally have worked with returns before. I used to work for a men's clothing company in the UK and dealt with a small clothes company, and I dealt with many returns. So not in tech, obviously, but in terms of seeing sort of the condition people send stuff back in and whatnot, and I guess sort of tricks, but not really necessarily tricks per se, because it's not that way at all. But some people would send it back, and they'd obviously just clearly tried it on, and some other people would send them back where they've washed it, or one smelt like manure. But yeah, stuff like that can happen. And anyone that's seen or been a long-term viewer of the channel will know that I had an issue with Scan here in the UK, where I sent back a motherboard. I think it was a Z190 or Z170. I can't remember. Whichever one the 600K would have gone in. And yeah, they also accused me of bending pins. I also bought an open box item because it was cheaper. And they also did the very much same thing that they did with Steve from GamersNexus, as well as the bent pins, but they also suggested that I'd caused other damage to the board, and I think they changed their tune on his one with saying that saying there were thermal paste on the pins. It's a bit of a really bizarre situation, and it's not. The point I'm trying to make is it's not just Best Buy, and I don't believe in my case it's even just Scan. It just so happened that mine was with Scan, and then obviously eventually got through as to who he was, and then he was sorted out. Whereas in my case, it took me to file the small claims court proceeding before they dropped it and refunded me, and then also obviously paid the money for the court filing and everything else. But it's interesting to hear different takes on it. I guess there's certainly a lot of people that are quite quick to blame other people that have damaged pins. One, because potentially it can be quite easy to do so. I think we've all bent a pin here and there on motherboards and stuff. I mean, certainly I've pretty much destroyed a USB 3 header, even though those are notoriously difficult or notoriously painful, I guess, at times, especially at an angle trying to get the thing in, and then it only just goes in and it doesn't look. Actually, I don't think I've ever been comfortable with any of my USB 3 headers. Well, the plugs in the headers, they always feel as though they're quite taut, I guess. But the point is that, there's a lot of opinion going around that, people have bent the pins. Some people saying that, not that Steve bent the pins, but that, the average user of someone who may post, I guess, such as me, has sent it back with broken pins and don't want to admit that they've done something wrong. And don't get me wrong, I think there's certainly a small subsection that are part of it. But the fact of the matter is that you get the retailers that don't do their job properly. So very often there is no pictures of the actual product before you buy it. There's no pictures of particularly the CPU socket or anything like that. And they also are unwilling, in my case at least, and the same as, I don't know if it was the same with Steve, but they weren't willing or able to send me pictures of the item and how it was damaged, or or anything else. So I think retailers can be or could be a lot more due diligent. There we go. Easy for me to say, in how they do it. In how they process their open box stuff. In particular, I think it's open box stuff that that has probably one of the highest rates. I think if they sold a board that was new, it's quite unlikely, isn't it, really, that the pins are bent. You know, whereas if it's open box, you've potentially had someone that's first bought it and then sent it back, so it's been reviewed by, or it's been handled by maybe the original purchaser. It's been handled when they've taken it out to display and then put back in. All sorts of, the more people that touch a product, the more likely you are to have an issue with it, which is why used items are cheaper. I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't think that should know. That's not necessarily how it works, but you get the point. Compared to a new product that has had the plate on, had the protector on specifically for LJ boards from the factory. So then you're looking at it, well, if your box isn't damaged and the cover is still in place, then it's a manufacturing defect, which, don't get me wrong, must happen from time to time, albeit extremely rarely, of course, because they go through all the checking and everything else, don't they? And obviously not all the pins are necessary as well for you to get a board to work. I have bought boards before with bent pin, LGA socket one, and it worked fine. But, there's obviously it won't, because not all the time, because some pins are not needed, some pins are redundancy, they're for, some of them are blanks basically, aren't they? But in effect. But then, other times it'll be a pin that stops two of your memory sticks from working or something like that. So yeah, a very delicate piece of kit, and for me it is the easy go-to option for retailers to try and get out of refunding you. And I think that's pretty much the case. I have had to do refunds recently through eBuyer in the UK, and they're actually really good. I bought an open box item. Yeah, I know. You see where this is going, can't you? A G5700G, and that came with bent pins on the CPU out the box, and it really annoyed me actually, because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be one of those situations where I'm going to really struggle with customer services. That's the first thing I think of when I have something like that happen, And I was like, but it must have been done. It must have been done by them when they were either they tested it or it's been sent back and used. I don't know. The CPU still had thermal paste on it, which I guess is fine for open box. Although the term like open box says to me that they've opened it for like pictures, or I wouldn't like an open box item. I don't necessarily expect to be used. Surely, yeah, retailers should probably be more accurate with their descriptions and call it a used item. I don't go on eBay and put my old trainers up as open box. I opened the box. I wore them for 3 years, but I still got the box. They're still in the box. No. So I think it's probably a bit disingenuous by the retailers, to be honest. And they can do, like I say, they can do more if they wanted to. It's going to cost more time, more money. Whether it's the juice is worth the squeeze for them, I don't know. But certainly this whole thing of accusing customers of damaging boards is a reality. I think it's taken someone who's really big in the industry to have happened to them before we get to this point where we're actually talking about it more realistically. There's always going to be fringe cases of people that obviously have damaged boards, have bent pins, and are sending it back. Even on open box items, I'm sure there are some open box items that are perfectly fine and functional. I've yet to have any of them though from major retailers. The point I was going to make is though, eBuy are really good. I sent them pictures of everything, including the outer box, the packaging box, and everything else. They accepted it back no problem. I was really worried that I was going to have issues with them, but they were actually really great, which was brilliant, to be fair to them. And hopefully, like I say, I don't think it's just a scan thing, but you've got to be prepared to push your consumer rights as far as you reasonably can. And if that means you spend £28 and prepared to go to court to defend it, then you sort of have to do it. And I know that a lot of people don't have that luxury of having that sort of time in their life to be able to do it, because it is, PC games meant to be a hobby, but it's not X equals unlimited amount of time that you can spend on it. I get that. The problem is sometimes you don't have any choice, and I think that was the that has been the situation here. Could be the situation here, but anyway. So yeah, and Steve's from GamersNexus board was pretty much basically one of the brand new releases and cost nearly $500. So yeah, interesting to see Linus's take on it as well, just because he sort of, I guess he's seen a lot more in terms of electronics, and he seemed a bit more dubious, I guess, around the notion that it happens as much as it does, or offered alternatives, I suppose, scenarios, and did speak a bit about potentially defects in manufacturing, which, like I said, I think does exist, although albeit extremely rare. So yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. It's a difficult one, but yeah, having been on the end of good customer service, bad customer service in both occasions, yeah, I can say that it's a bit of a minefield, and I would feel very nervous having to send back an item, especially a motherboard, because that's the sort of thing that you get. I mean, luckily the last motherboard I had to send back was AMD. That was no problem. I don't think it was just because it was AMD, but that was for eBuyer as well. So maybe buy stuff from eBuyer. No, I don't recommend. Couldn't possibly recommend any of the tech companies in the UK, because you never know how companies are going to be from one day to the next, really. And on that, that's about all I can say. I wouldn't say, boycott anywhere. I stopped using Scan for a very long time after that, because I felt wronged, and it's a natural thing. It's a natural feeling to have. I try not to buy from them now, unless they're the ones that also have the best deal and the item that I want, which can happen from time to time. But yeah, I'm reluctant, I guess, because of how they have treated me before in the past, and I'm not prepared to buy another item and send it back to see if they're any better. So yeah, I guess the law is correct, isn't it? Buyer beware, and so we should be, and we should also, as I say, be prepared to take it as far as needs to go, especially when you know you're in the right as well. I think that's probably the big thing of it. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'll be really interested to know if anyone has had issues sending, especially tech stuff back, in particular motherboards. I think because that's sort of the main topic now. I had to send back quite a few graphics cards actually over the years, but that's never been an issue. I say quite a few. I think 3, and one of them was to CEX. That was the most difficult one, because I had to explain to them how to diagnose the issue that the graphics card had. But on the flip side, I could see why they bought it off someone in the first place, because on the face of it looked like it worked. Anyway, going off on tangent. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.